Mistakes. We all make them. The question is, do we learn from them? Do we ignore them? Or do we blame someone else for them? Hey everyone, Dr. Jones with another one of your weekly messages. And this week, you guessed it, I want to talk about mistakes. You see, all too often, we are so caught up and worried about making mistakes that we don't try new things. We don't step out of our comfort zone. And as a result, we don't become the best version, or at least a better version of ourselves that we can be at that point in time. You see, we want to make sure that when we step out of our comfort zone or try something new, we absolutely nail it. We do it perfect on our first time out, on our first go around. Well, when you stop and think about it, how silly is that to think that we would be perfect the first time? But we're so worried about it that we don't actually try new things because we don't want to fall short or look like we're not perfect. Well, as I've said many times, perfection is a fool's errand. And so the sooner we can get to accepting the fact that we're going to make a mistake, the quicker we can get to learning from it, which brings me to my first point. Do we learn from it when we make a mistake? Look, accepting the idea that mistakes are inevitable is incredibly important. The thing that we also need to do, though, if we're going to accept that, is learn from them. Look, you fell short at a goal. Okay, why did you fall short? So you fix that and you try it again. You try a new sport. You try a new hobby. You try anything new and it doesn't go perfect the first time. Well, that's all right because there's a couple mistakes that you made. So identify those mistakes, change them, and then try it again. And you'll notice that you get a better result. You make fewer mistakes. That's true with anything in life. Once you acknowledge the mistake and change it, make changes, then you get better. Because if you don't make the change and you ignore it, here's point number 2, well, you never get better. And those feelings of anxiety, those feelings of failure, those less than ideal results stick with you because you keep making the same mistake over and over again because you failed to identify it and you failed to change it. So then you don't go anywhere. You become stagnant in whatever you're trying to do. And if you're stagnant in what you're trying to do in today's world, you're falling behind. So you're actually failing. So without making mistakes, we risk failure. And nobody wants to fail. So you have to risk mistakes and you have to change from them. You have to take option number 1 and not option number 2. And the third option I mentioned is the worst option you can make. And that's blaming somebody else for them. You see, that has to do with personal accountability and responsibility. When you make a mistake, it isn't somebody else's fault. Sure, there are some things that are out of our control that occur during our everyday lives whenever we're trying to do something. But if you sit and stay with the fact that it's somebody else's fault, or make up the fact that your ultimate mistake is somebody else's fault, not only do you not move forward, and so you're falling behind, but 2, you make it worse for any other attempt you might try to make. Because then you get in your own head and you tell yourself, why bother? Because things out of your control, things that you can't do, it's always somebody else's fault. The world is against me. Things are so bad. You get the idea? That then you can never really make movement forward anyways. So listen, step out of your comfort zone. Look, everybody makes mistakes. Anybody that tells you they don't make mistakes, guess what? They're lying to you because when you're trying something new, you don't have a path to follow. There's no well-worn road for you to walk down to make sure that you make all the right moves. Eventually, if you want to be better or the best at whatever you're selecting to do, you have to go where other people haven't. And that is going to require making mistakes and fixing them, not ignoring them and not blaming other people. That's it. That's all I got for this week. Go out and make some mistakes. And while you're doing that, remember to be purposeful, act with integrity, and continue to build your character. Have a great week.